Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. There are seats up front here if folks would like to come up. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bill Heineman, and as North Shore Community College's president, I thank you for joining us today and welcome you to this celebration of life for our colleague and friend, Ray Parker. Ray worked here at NSCC for almost 30 years as an academic advisor, as an advisor to student clubs, with a particular focus on students who were interested in pursuing our health programs here at North Shore, and also for our students who are veterans. It's clear Ray's impact, however, went far beyond those tasks that were part of his job description. His impact on students and colleagues are illustrated by the outpouring of sadness and solidarity that we've noticed over the last few weeks, and also by your presence here today. That's what this celebration of life for Ray Parker is all about, a chance to collectively support each other and to remember Ray Parker with both happiness and gratitude for the friendship he conveyed and the service he contributed. In this ceremony, we honor Ray with music, spoken memories, private reflection, a video, and afterwards through conversation and more music. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for attending today, and especially for all those who helped organize today's celebration. Now I'd like to introduce you to Dan O'Neill, our director of the Student Support Center, where Ray worked.
Thank you. So this is a celebration of life, rather than a memorial. We are remembering all the ways that Ray has impacted us. We're honored to have people here who would like to share some of their memories of their time with Ray's, funny stories, frustrating stories, all the different types of stories that we all have with Ray. And so it's my job to sort of help introduce some folks to come up here. So the first person that I'd like to ask to come up here Someone who's known Ray for a long time, who's well known to NSCC, is Professor Troy Smith.
Dear Ray, during the last few weeks, I have been in total shock and sadness with your passing. This is so hard for me to accept. For 27 years, I was fortunate to call you a great colleague, loyal friend, and big brother. Your knowledge, insight, dedication, and impact on the North Shore Community College students is immeasurable. I used to come to the Student Support Center quite a bit, and I think some people probably saw a pattern that, hey, he's probably coming to see Ray. That was often correct. But just being able to go in there and catch you for lunch or a quick hello. Now, if you know Ray, I bet you could probably imagine this, that very often those meetings would result in a good debate, a fact-finding mission, or some of the deepest conversations on life that I have ever had. Had so many great memories of hanging out with you and our brother Gary Williams. When we go out to breakfast, including 3 Yolks in Lynn and Reds in Salem. We'd go out to breakfast, we'd go shopping. Often Gary say, I'm gonna put this stuff and I kind of put it to the side. I don't want to bring another item home. I started running into that same issue. But Ray always had a way of finding a good deal when it came to some type of item. And he'd say, wow, I got this for $10. And I'm like, wow, it looks really nice. And I can remember, because I have sort of an unusual shoe size, never thought I'd be saying this publicly, but 14 wide. And I said, I just can't find a stylish shoe in my size too easily. And he said, you know what? I'll find you some shoes. And that's nice. That's cool. Right? Yeah, right. Well, I tell you, probably for the next 3-4 years, I got shoe surprises from Ray. He would just, give me a shoe, and they always look good, real stylish, real nice. Sometimes I try to find out, where'd you get that from? He wouldn't always tell me the source, but that was the type of person that he was. And that was the kind of relationship that I had with him and Gary Williams, where we'd surprise each other. We'd have like an item in the desk. I'm like, Gary, how'd you get this in here? This is the kind of stuff that we did. And now I'll tell you something. I'm gonna just be real with y'all. There were times in all of my years at North Shore Community College where I'd be walking down the hall and somebody'd say, hey, Ray. Yeah, I'm gonna get y'all. Hey, Ray. Hey, Gary. That happened so many times. So, we got to know each other, through that as well. But, we'd do that. We'd surprise each other with a nice clothing item. Those were things that we did. Remember, we went to LL Bean's once. Those were some great memories. We took my kids to a zoo, I think, somewhere in Danvers or Peabody. And as I say here, your gentleness and ease with my 2 little guys when they were younger was a beautiful sight to see. He was very gentle with children. I felt blessed that they were able to spend a little time with you. Thank you for all of the years that you came in and enthusiastically did your nonverbal communication lecture for my helping skills class. He was so great with doing that. And I remember one time one of my students said, wow, he's the best speaker that I ever heard. And so that's a memory that I had. Yeah. The students loved your presentations. Whether you were serving as the pre-med club advisor, helping to develop the structure and the program and directly supporting veterans of the college. Thank you for your service in the Coast Guard during the Vietnam War era. I used to always say, man, you look too young to have been a Vietnam veteran, you know. But that was the energy that we had. I remember years ago, I was running on the Linway with Ray. We went jogging. And, you know, he slowed down so that I could keep up with him. You know, he was in great shape. So those are just some great memories. Thank you for being truly supportive to so many colleagues. You are loved, respected, and will be remembered. Love you, Ray. Love you.
Thank you, Troy. Next, I'd like to invite up Chris Bates, an NSCC alum and a student veteran. And as you know, the Veterans and the Veterans Center played a big role in Ray's time here. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for allowing me to do this. It's an honor for me. I haven't known Ray as long as everyone else probably. I met him somewhere around 2018. Ray actually introduced me to Troy, so I guess I was lucky there, Troy. But we had a great conversation that day. And it was funny, when I first came here, Ray was my advisor because I was part of the health sciences, and the Veterans Club was running like a Tuesday kind of social meeting type of thing. And I would go there after class, and there would always be Dunkin' Donuts and coffees and stuff like that there. And I'm like, oh, this is great. And it was there every week. And I didn't know who was bringing in or where it was coming from. And one day I seen Ray sneak in there, put down the donuts, the coffee and everything, and had everything set up, and then walked out. And I was like, oh, okay, I see you, Ray, all right. And as an advisor, it was weird. Like I was saying, when I first met him, I had the veteran experience and Dunkin' Donuts thing, but what was funny was I had emailed Ray back and forth a lot, you know, questions, classes. I never personally met him. He had something, I think he got like hit by a car or something like when I first came here, and he was out of work for a little bit, then came back. And I finally met him. He goes, yeah, I'm Ray. I'm your advisor. And I was like, oh, all right. I see who you are. Okay. I thought he was someone else. I was like, wow, I always was told Ray was a Vietnam vet. And he's like, I am. And I thought the same thing. I go, dude, how old are you? Like, he was a good-looking, handsome, in-shape, athletic guy. I hope to God I'm like him at that age. You ever see him do push-ups? Yeah. We ran a push-up competition here in the winter. It was a 22-year-old stud out of the military. Ray gets down on his hands and knees and goes on his knuckles and just annihilates this kid. Triple the amount of push-ups this kid did. I was like, I am not going now. Nope, never mind. You know, and I talked to Ray a lot at the Veterans Center, and I got to know a whole nother side of him. Ray, from the outside to me, kind of seemed quiet to himself, reserved, but inside there, he opened up with things with other veterans that helped me tremendously. I was very quiet about my service, didn't talk about places I've been, didn't really connect with a lot of veterans till I got here, and Ray was definitively one of the people that kind of got me there with veterans again and being part of veteran services. And that meant a lot to me, made me comfortable here. I felt welcome by him and this school. So I remember our conversations a lot. I would see him walking all the time back here. And I was like, Ray, take off the long sleeves, dude. It's 85 degrees right now. Wouldn't do it. And I had just, you know, I missed this dude. It was a shock to me. I had spoken to him the Friday the weekend of, and I had the email on Monday morning. I didn't get a response, and it was a gut punch to me. But I tell you, I really appreciated what that guy did for me, and he was always right. He emailed me like on Wednesday. I go, Ray, do you always have to be right? Like, please, just let me do what I want to do. He said, do this. And I'm like, all right, I got it. I'll email you Monday. And so I just wanted to share with people that Ray was one of those people that kind of kept me in school, that kind of kept me focused, made me feel welcome. And I can't say enough about that guy. He had something about him that I like, as frustrating as he could be at times in the conversations where we're like going at it. I get it. I've been there. And, I will miss this guy. I'll definitely miss him. And I just wanted to let people know that he did a lot for veterans. And outside of this school, I would see him. He showed up. He was there for me and there for others. And if I can, be there for half as many people that it seems like he was there for, I'll be doing good in life. And that's all I wanted to say. And thank you for having me. And thank you for having this. This is awesome. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Next, I'd like to invite another of Ray's colleagues up here, someone who's been here long enough to call Ray the new guy. So I'd like to ask Susan Downey to come up here for a minute and share her thoughts and memories of Ray.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. This means a lot to us. I've been working with Ray for 3 years in the Student Center, and I said, Ray, I'll be back and I'll see you next Tuesday. Then came the holiday. I got the message as I was coming to work. I got on the side of the road and heard the message, and the tears just came rolling down my face. He is a dynamite person. Working with Ray in the Student Success Center was a very rewarding experience, for he always stepped up to the plate and assisted not just the students, but everyone in the college. His laughter was always welcome, and the talks that we had about various subjects was very rewarding, as like everybody says, he always had to be right. Learning about the Veterans War to assisting the students as an advisor, Ray will always be in my heart. And Ray, one day I'm gonna meet you again.
Thank you, Susan. Just as a quick point from my experience, I was thinking about this. The last conversation I had was on Thursday before Columbus Day weekend, and it's kind of nice because it was one of those things that if you talk to Ray, you'll get off track really quickly and find out that Ray did this, Ray did that, or whatever. But it also brought up things like why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? So we spent Thursday towards the end of the day where he was perplexed. He kept saying, why would they paint a mural of traffic right next to traffic? And he's like, you could just turn and look to the left to see traffic. Why did we do that? And I'm gonna appreciate that that's my last conversation, because every time I come in here, I just think of that, and that's kind of how my memories of Ray are. At this point, we have other people who've had things they'd like to share that are not able to be here today, and Donna Davis will be read them out for them. Thank you, Donna.
So the first one we have is from our former colleague Susan Wharton-Schmitz, who now lives in Florida. So Ray was my coworker and friend. My office was next door to Ray my first 2 years at North Shore, and I worked down the hall from him the following years. I joined a special work family in the Student Support Center in 1997, and Ray was one of my brothers. How do I encapsulate hundreds of conversations into one short remembrance? Do I tell you how he was friends with Robin Williams while he lived in San Francisco in the 70s before Robin was a star? Or how he played in a band in Detroit with future members of Stevie Wonder's band? He had many of these fun stories to tell. Ray enjoyed good conversations and good stories. He was supremely interested in the stories of other people and asked excellent questions to provoke further thought. I once told him I spaced out in the classroom when I was a kid, but somehow managed to succeed. And his response was, "Did you really space out, or were you thinking of something more interesting?" That was Ray. When my husband and I got married, he helped us find a minister. Incidentally, she was also a psychic medium. He loved to talk about the mystical side of life, and when I knew him, deeply believed in a world beyond this one. He cared so much for others, and I'm grateful to have seen him one last time on a visit to Massachusetts in 2019. I knocked on his door in the Student Support Center, and he feigned falling over in his chair. He got up and gave me and my husband a big hug. I will savor this last meeting knowing I was lucky to have crossed paths with Mr. Ray Parker in this lifetime. And the next one I have is from his former colleague, Peter Monaco, who's now since retired. And I believe he's living in Vermont, so I hope it's colder there than it is here. Let's see. I worked with Ray longer than anyone else at North Shore. He was the best man at my wedding. I probably knew him better than most, but sometimes it felt like I hardly knew him at all. Ray lived a lot of his life behind walls. He experienced a lot of trauma that most of us could probably not imagine, let alone survive. Much of that trauma came from his experience in the Vietnam War. Ray worked in military intelligence. He had a deep regret of this assignment during the war. In all the years that I knew Ray, I believe he was haunted by this experience in Vietnam. I believe he felt if anyone ever knew what he had done during the war, they would think he was some kind of monster. I think he always judged himself harshly and spent his life seeking forgiveness and peace of mind. I feel certain where he is now, he has finally found both. If the Vietnam War had not interfered in Ray's life, I believe he would have pursued a career in medicine. Instead, his destiny was to form the NSCC Pre-Med Club. Ray gave our students permission to dream big dreams. I always thought of the club as the incubator of those dreams. Ray was always encouraging, always supporting, always pointing the way to the next step in the process to make those dreams come true. I often thought of him as a midwife of the dreams so many of our students had. How many times I remember Ray coming into my office with a big smile on his face. He had to share with me an email or a phone call he had just received from a student who may have graduated several years ago and was now entering a PhD program somewhere or beginning a hospital residency somewhere. In those moments, Ray was every bit the proud parent. His shining legacy will always be the many careers he helped to launch. I regret I never kept track of all of those names Ray brought into my office when he had the time to share the good news. If I had, I believe I could probably staff a small hospital with Ray's proteges. I will always remember Ray as a guy with the biggest heart I ever knew. Every year we would do Project Bread's 20 miles walk for hunger, and that would be together in Boston. If you ever try to walk 20 miles, you can understand the enormity of that task, a challenge not to be taken lightly. Before the walk, I always would solicit contributions from everyone at North Shore. Ray would never contribute, though. Instead, he always saw his role as being my personal escort and seeing to it that I made it to the finish line so I could collect from everyone then. I would get to mile 17 or 18 and say, "That's it, I'm done. I can't take another step. I'll never finish another 2 or 3 miles." And that is when Ray was at his best. Think of the movie The Officer and a Gentleman. Think of Luke Gossett's character, Sergeant Foley. Ray was my Sergeant Foley. He would yell and scream, "Get up, you lazy bag of bones, get up! Move your lazy fat ass." I didn't write this. Look at those women up ahead pushing baby carriages. They're walking faster than you. Get up, get moving. And we would always cross the finish line together and then sit for hours on the Boston Common and people watch, thousands of participants coming into the finish while we stuffed our faces with everything we could get our hands on. Somehow every year I always got home weighing more than I did at the start of that day. I always collected thousands of dollars from NSCC sponsors. I'll always wonder if I would have made it each year without Sergeant Parker prodding me to the finish line. One thing I don't worry about or wonder about, one thing I know for certain, we'll meet again, old friend. And so that was from Peter. And then lastly, my own. Honestly, when I met Ray over 20 years ago, I remember being a bit scared. Ray was a straight shooter, often delivering hard news and tough love to students. A few students would leave his office, then kind of walk right across the way to mine in tears. At first, I was concerned by this. Why was Ray making students cry? Did he have too much coffee? And then I became a bit annoyed. Thanks, Ray, for making me buy more tissues and lollipops to have to comfort these students. But as time went on, I realized it wasn't Ray being mean. It was just Ray being honest and direct. Just Ray being Ray. As you know, many of his students are pre-med, not an easy field. And lots of hard work lay ahead for them, and they need to develop a strong backbone to get there. It was Ray's direct style that so many students later appreciated about him. Not necessarily at first, but maybe after a lollipop or two. He challenged them to rise to their full potential and stop letting fear and distractions get in their way, to work hard, stop worrying about what others think, and to focus on your abilities rather than your detriments. Own it and move forward because you can. His sense of humor always made me laugh. He called it as he saw it, making you see a viewpoint you had not considered, and sometimes whether you liked it or not. His laugh is what I will remember most, a deep, robust, I told you so kind of laugh. One day when I was talking about my son going to college in California for a career in screenwriting, he shared his story of going to college there. He joked about one of his friends, Sam, that he knew in college, and how Sam appeared to be a lifelong student, going from major to major without any luck, until one day he decided to try acting as his last resort. Sam didn't appear to be serious about his studies, and Ray didn't appreciate that, since he knew the importance of an education. Sam wasn't applying himself. He wasn't doing the work. At the very end of Ray's story, I discovered that Sam was actually Samuel L. Jackson. You're kidding, I said. He's probably laughing all the way to the bank right now, Ray. And with a big belly laugh, Ray said, well, he still should have been a better student. Ray had simple needs and desires, except for his clothes. Boy, what awesome taste in clothes he had. Every time we went to New York City with students on field trips, he would come back with bags and bags of the best clothes. He knew where to shop and always had a crisp shirt and gorgeous tie and shoes to match. Ray was brave, smart, funny, unconventional at times, and steadfast to his students. He may not have told you what you wanted to hear, he told you what you needed to hear, and we're all better for that. I'll miss you, my friend. Thanks for helping so many students ignite their passion, get through obstacles, and believe in themselves. Every time I go to New York City or pass out a lollipop, I'll continue to think of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. At this time, we'd like to open it up if anybody would like to share a memory of Ray or story. I know it's putting you on the spot, but if you would, I know that you can think about it for a minute. I'd like to ask Gary Williams to join us. He has something he'd like to share with Ray. I know it's hard to get Gary to, get out of his shell and talk, but we'll work on it. Right, Gary?
I don't have many funny stories to say about Ray. He was more than just a friend. To me, he was a member of my family. I'll miss him. He was a member of my family. And I'll never forget him. And I'm pretty sure you won't either. He knew my grandchildren. I haven't slept in 3 weeks thinking about him. That's really all I can say.
Thank you, Gary. As you've heard, music is very important to Ray. So at this point, we'd like to take a minute to listen to a musical selection. While we have we can think our own personal reflections and help keep Ray's spirit alive.
Really gonna miss you. It's really gonna be different without you. Time is gonna be hard and slow. For the rest of my life, I'm gonna be thinking about you. Yes, I am. Time came when you had to go. I'll miss you, my buddy. I'll miss you, my friend. I promise my love for you will never end. In your finest hour, I was there with you, and without you, things won't be the same. But there's a higher power that we answer to, and you heard him calling your name. Really gonna miss you. Everything about you, your smiling face. Yes, I know you want us all to be strong. Really gonna miss you. I know you've gone to that magic place. Oh, singing you a brand new song. I'll miss you, my buddy. I'll miss you, my friend. I promise my love for you will never end. I'll miss you, my buddy. I'll miss you, my friend. I promise my love for you will never end. Really gonna miss you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd please ask you to rise for the playing of taps.
Other guard. Oh. Breathe then. Other.
On behalf of the college and all the folks who worked to put this together, I'd like to thank you for being here today. Would also like to remind everyone here that there is a Ray Parker Scholarship that we've established that will go towards students who are in the health science field looking to do continuing their work, whether it's pre-med or going on to further medical studies. We felt that that would be one of the best ways to keep his spirit and his passion alive. It is on, you can find it on our Facebook page, our homepage. Please take some time to join us. We have some refreshments. We have actually raised some of Ray's favorites. We're very good. Ray was allergic to a lot of things, as we know, as you reminded us all the time. But we have some apple pie, vanilla ice cream, oatmeal cookies, and we'd like to invite you to stay for a little bit, share some memories, reconnect with old friends, and think of Ray. And thank you very much for coming today.
Right turn, march! Color guard, halt! Present!